So good day class. So today we're going to learn about architectural finishing systems. So let's talk about the suspended light gauge ceiling. So here, this is the detail. So this is a hanger wire here. So it's used to suspend here your wall angles to the bottom of the beam or the slab. So here you can see that these are your acoustically in panel, and these are your main runners, and this is what you call the cross T. So this is your hanger wire, is usually galvanized steel. So this is an exposed grid system. Okay. Then this is a concealed grid upward access. So here you can see that this is the cross T steel. Here you have a T spline, and you have a fire rated grid. So this is the access angle. Okay. Then these are the um, ties to the bottom of the slab or the beam. This is an example of a drywall furring system. Here you can see the hanger wire, it's the wall channel, it's the screw attachment, it's the furring T. Then we also have raised floor systems or access floors. So it just basically means class that if you have a slab, for example, you have a second floor slab. So you'll just raise that above that slab so that you could fit in the different wires below it. Okay. Now there's what you call a stringerless, in which this system is used in general construction or small computer rooms. So it provides maximum accessibility, optimum underfloor space, and electrical continuity. Note that it is dependent on panels being restrained by perimeter walls. The maximum load is 150 pounds per square foot, then the concentrated load is around 400 pounds. Okay. So this is the access for panels, the vinyl edge stream, the steel rod, the steel pedestal head, the steel tube, the locking nut, the solid steel stud, and the steel plate base. Then you also have here a panel lock. So this system is used in general construction and is designed without a stringer connection at the edge. It's bolted at the corner. It provides added rigidity over stringerless systems and maximum access and flexibility. So of course it still has steel plate. Okay, so it's almost the same. So it's a locking nut also. The steel tube. And here you have the access floor, the fastening screws, and then the pedestal head. That's the same as this one. Then we have here a snap-on grid. This system is used in computer rooms and general construction where frequent access is required. So if it's always used, so you're going to snap-on grid. So it provides improved lateral stability when compared to stringerless systems, electrical continuity, and plenum seal. So when you say plenum, guys, I think it is the space between the floor panel and the slab. Then you have here the rigid grid. So this system is used in computer rooms and areas of heavy loading. So it provides maximum rigidity for seismic or dynamic loading, with electrical continuity for grounding or static control, and plenum seal. So the maximum load is 400 square foot, and the concentrated load is around 1,250 foot. So I think you could use this around in areas where a lot of heavy computer equipment. Then these are typical access floor conditions. So just post this video guys and then you can take a screenshot of these different systems here. Then this is a light gauge, these are light gauge steel studs. So this here is your diagonal strap bracing welded to studs and runners. This is a secure strap connection to stud and runner with a steel gusset plate or welds here, this side. This is an angle clip welded to stud and bolted foundation. This is what you call the horizontal channel bracing here. This is a continuous runner channel here at the top. Here in the Philippines, guys, most of the construction systems that we use are concrete hollow blocks. We don't normally use this one. This is quite popular in Western countries, drywall partition. Okay. So these are your C studs or channel studs here. Okay, so as you can see, this is an example of a detail of a section. So this is your light gauge steel studs. This is your continuous runner channel. This is a light gauge steel joist. So when you say joist, it's like a it's equivalent of a small beam. Then you have the possible overhang here. You have here your web stiffeners, continuous runner, then a perimeter channel outside. Then light gauge steel studs at 12 inch, 16 inch, or 24 inch on center. Then you have your exterior sheeting and finish here outside. Then you have a perimeter channel, web stiffeners and clip angles here. This is a clip angle anchor bolted to concrete foundation wall. So if you want to practice someday in Western countries, you must familiarize yourselves with this kind of detailing. Here in the Philippines, like what I said earlier, mostly we use concrete hollow blocks or composite wall panels. And this is your exterior wall. So this would be your light gauge steel studs. This is your continuous runner channel. This is your reinforced concrete on metal decking. Okay, so when you say, guys, that it's metal decking, so it's a metal deck, then you're going to pour concrete into it. This is your open web steel joist here. It's a steel beam or light gauge stud bearing wall. And that's for the exterior wall. Then for the interior wall, so it's already inside the building. You could use this also. You provide web stiffeners for steel joists that contain over support, and use light gauge steel joist. This is here it's a double channel. Here it is continuous runner channel, and these are light gauge stud bearing wall. Let's move into the next slides. So this is a example of a steel gusset plate. So it's used to connect two different materials together, or two materials together. So it will just depend how um, what the structural computations are. So you could see this glass here. The openings here are your windows. This is your drywall panel. So this is a truss bridging at corners next to openings. There's a double or nested studs here. Then after this glass, that's the time you're going to cover this with. Here in the Philippines, we usually cover this with hard flex or any equivalent for the concrete panel, concrete composite panel. Just the video with them. So there's the types of light gauge steel joist. You have here the nestable joist. Okay, then these are its nominal depths. You have 6 inches, 8 inches, 10, 12, 14. And this is your C joist here. So it's a shape like a letter C. This is your joist enclosure. So I think the difference is that this has here an extra something like this. So form like really a letter C. This is also a letter C but without the additional here. So what I could advise you class is that you really take a lot of experience and the site when you take your apprenticeship. Okay, so that's the only way for you to be able to see in actual what these things look like. Because I think um, what's really important is that you know when to apply these different materials in your project someday. So this is another example. So this is a steel joist, and it's a web stiffener, it's a wood panel deck here. Okay. Nowadays class, there are suppliers wherein you can order their artificial wood and it looks real. Then you'll just buy the materials, everything from them, and then yeah, it's already complete. So you just have to follow the instructions on how you're going to place those things. So what's presented here, these are the generic. So you, for example, you implement this in a project, then you're going to use these details, and you're going to add your own wood panels for the flooring or the decking. But right now, there are also suppliers wherein you just have to show them the details, and then they're going to provide you. No, not the details. You just have to show them the design, and they'll provide you the details on how to connect their material, and also provide also the materials. So you just have to buy them, and then they're going to help in instructing your construction team on how to do it on site. But I think those things are quite expensive. Then you have what you call metal cladding. Of course, this is an example for exterior. Exterior, they have alpo lick, and interior also interior alpo lick. So the features are that it's light and strong sheet material. Of course, it is light and strong. I think it's usually used. You could see that a lot in our university. So a lot of buildings there, it's covered in metal cladding. So it's impact resistant. It also has data on sound transmission, and that's data on corrosion resistance and thermal insulation. So you could really find these guys, the different features when you collect brochures. So when you go to, if there are construction exhibits, in order to enhance your knowledge in building technology, especially the materials, I'd advise you to collect brochures and then read them from time to time. Don't do it in one setting. Just when you feel like it, then until it becomes a habit of yours, so that when you have projects, you'll have a lot of options in what to specify. So these are the details. So this may be the paint finish. You have it's a fluorocarbon. It's a zero point 0.5 millimeter aluminum skin. This is the polyethylene. It's a zero point 0.5 millimeter aluminum skin again here. This is the service coating. So when you specify guys metal cladding, I would suggest that you find metal cladding that are that, that are already the what I mean at that metal cladding that already has a lot of mm, projects where they are implemented, so that you could see what happens to the material itself after a few years. Because the problem with metal cladding class is that sometimes okay it looks good in the first 1 to 2 years, but as time goes on, you could see the color fade or the material warp or change. So you have to be very careful with the metal cladding that the brand of the metal cladding that you're going to use. Okay, so you have to do your due diligence and research. Okay, you have to find a good supplier for that, and of course attend a lot of construction exhibits. So like they said, it has superior flatness, excellent color uniformity, rigidity, impact resistance, workability, and fire resistance. Okay, so these are the examples provided. So they used it in PLDT. And you have the Hewlett Packard building in Los Angeles, California, and also in the Mansara Mosque in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and also in 400 Street in Sydney, Australia. So these are the processing methods as per indicated by the supplier. So for cutting, you will use a square shear, panel saw, a table saw, or a circular saw. And for bending, you'll use a press brake or a roll bender or a folding after you grooving. And for joining, you'll use a rivet bolt, nut screw, adhesives, welding of polyethylene core. So what I would suggest, guys, is that you don't rely solely on the adhesive. So if you're going to place an adhesive, it would really, in my experience, I think it would be best that you also place a nut or screw, and not just rely solely on the adhesive, because due to weathering and exposure to our temperature, uh, something might happen. Just to be sure. So that's just an advice. So these are the different installation examples. So I think you could use this when you do your detailing, especially in your sections. So you may take a screenshot of this, guys. So I think one material that is not mentioned or common in the Philippines are your GRC panels or glass reinforced concrete. So on your own time, I suggest that you do your research on it so that you could use that on your future plates for specifications or your thesis someday. Okay, so let's end our supplementary lecture here. So if you have any further questions or clarifications, class, you just send a PM or send a message in our chat group. So I'll always reply when I'm online. So see you next meeting.